Doug Harrison loved to play basketball. He led Delta Secondary School to a citywide championship in 1959.
In his day, he was such a superstar in high school basketball, but he wasn't a big man on campus type jock. He was down to earth, friendly guy, and he really poured it all out on the basketball court.
But it would be what Doug did off the court that would leave the biggest mark on Hamilton basketball.
I never thought of girls basketball. Never thought of them at all until I had two girls. And then when they were 6 and 7 and 8, I wanted them to play the game that I played. And fortunately, they loved the game.
Sidney Crosby had the infamous dryer. The Gretzkys had the backyard rink. For the Harrisons, it was an unfinished basement that became their hollowed training ground.
When I played for the running pump, I looked after the balls. So I had 8 or 9 balls in a big bag, and my basement wasn't done yet. It was still like a gray cement. That's where I had the girls dribbling the ball.
We nailed a box on the wall, and we'd shoot into that, or we'd have to dribble the right hand and then dribble the left hand and back and forth. And I mean, we were young.
The Harrison girls played at Huntington Park and were quickly becoming skilled players. The only problem, there was no girls team to continue their development. So Doug simply started one.
And I started with a bantam team, which is 12-year-olds, 11, 12-year-olds. And I started with the one team. And I had a friend who was doing Winston Churchill. I was coaching at Huntington. And we selected 12 girls from the recreation. And they didn't have a tryout. We just went to their house and asked their parents.
Transway began to expand. As Doug's eldest daughter, Vicky, got older, another team would be added. As the only girls team around, it attracted more and more players, and a winning reputation soon followed.
It was so great as a kid to walk into the gym, and we had these corduroy jackets on when we were, 13, 14 years old. And we played so tough as a team, individually, but as a team. And they always thought that Hamilton was so tough. And I think it is. Tough players come from Hamilton. And I mean, there's other organizations too, but way back when it was just Transway, we would walk into a gym and we knew we were always going to be in the final.
Once the Harrison girls moved on to university ball, Doug didn't stop. Transway was a well-oiled winning machine.
When you're doing something well and it's working, people want to join and help. So you just kept going on, and I just kept going on and on.
To this day, there have been two constants, the sponsor and the t-shirt jerseys. Doug initially wrote a letter to John Posta, owner of Transway Systems, to sponsor jerseys for the original team.
He answered my letter saying he took me out for lunch, and he said he would sponsor the one team and buy them uniforms. But what happened was, as of today, it's nearly 200 teams they have sponsored in the last 33, 34 years.
And the jerseys? Doug refuses the modern technical fabrics he calls dazzle, preferring basic cotton.
A lot of people wonder why we can't put the dazzles on the girls, but as some of the coaches say, you play for the name, not for how you look.
For 34 years, Transway Basketball Association has been making headlines. It has become the most successful basketball program in Ontario and possibly Canada. The Hamilton basketball legend spreads far and wide. Its graduates have gone on to play college, pro, and represent Canada.
Thorburn, the lefty shot, banks it up and in. Are you kidding me? Shona Thorburn.
I mean, it started with one little team because he wanted us to play competitively, and it's just grown and grown. And I mean, it's neat. When I lived in Toronto, a club team there asked me to run a practice how Transway would, because they wanted to model it after Transway, and I realized, wow, I mean, other people have a lot of respect for this organization, which is really nice to see.
Transway has become a reflection of Doug Harrison's passion for basketball and his love of Hamilton.
Quite often, people who are involved in these kinds of programs are very charismatic, larger-than-life people. You'd hardly notice Doug. He just gets the job done, speaks to the Hamilton approach, and so I really am so happy for Doug. And you know what he does? He continues to show up. He lives nearby to City Hall. And he'll come and sit through a committee meeting or a city council meeting because he's interested. Low key, get the job done the Hamilton way.
The Hamilton Sports Hall of Fame welcomes Doug Harrison.